Hi guys, and welcome to Vireo software demonstration. The previous version we showed you was version 0.85 and that was on the 19th of November 2017. This is the latest version, new version 1.3 as of today, 19th of the 11th 2018. So I'm going to start by opening up the program, and this is the login screen. What I'm going to do is log in and go through the basic setup and then the programmatic flow of how it helps your business from start to finish. So we put our username and password in. Okay, now we're presented with a welcome screen, which basically explains that this initial setup wizard is going to help us pre-configure the system, and if you need any help, call us on our 0800 number. Okay, this is the sector selection, so we choose the sectors we're operating in. We've got close protection ticked, private investigation and tracing, and that's fine for now. I'm going to leave the others unticked. I'm going to click next, and this is the initial settings. So language, English, currency, pound, yeah, that's fine. Will you be managing K9 units? No. Will you be managing firearm units? No. Will your company be taking applications for job positions for the system? Yes, I'm going to demonstrate that. Do you want clients to be able to register for an account with your company? Yes, I'm going to demonstrate that as well. Two-factor authentication is where an attacker would need, as well as your username and password, they'd need your mobile phone or your email account. They need something as well as your login credentials to be able to gain access to the system. You've got the option of email, SMS and Google Authenticator and FIDO UTF. I'm going to stick with Google Authenticator because that's free, and I'm going to click Finish. Okay, so this step is to set up Google Authenticator. We can get it on Google Play, we can get it on the App Store, or we can get it from Microsoft for Windows devices. It's also available on the Chrome Web Store on every device. But what I'm going to do is bring up the demo phone, and we're going to go to the Play Store. And we're going to type in Authenticator, and you can see it comes up as the top result. Click Google Authenticator, and we click Install. Downloading. Installing. Okay, and we click Open to open the app. So now we click Begin and then Skip because we don't want help setting it up. Okay, and now it allows us to add an account. So what I'm going to do now is click Next, and it says we can scan a QR code. And if you notice on the app, it says Scan a barcode. So I'll click that there. Allow Authenticator to take pictures and record video. Allow. So I'm going to point the camera at the barcode on the screen, and it's instantly scanned it, and it's brought up a code. Okay. Now if we click Finish, the system will ask us for that code, and we click 631372 and click Sign In.
Commander is online.
Okay, and that's us set up with Google Authenticator, and the system is now initially set up. So now we're logged into the dashboard. We can see there's a Getting Started section, which gives us a hand on configuring the system, setting up our agreements, and setting up our inquiry questions. Once we've set them up, the system will be ready to go and ready to be used. So the first thing to do, number one, is customize the settings. Because we're using the demo one, I'm not going to go through this. If I click on settings, it's basically just all the settings we need to set up the system exactly how we want it. There's tons of settings, from setting up the company information, the look and feel of it. Basically, you can customize everything. But if you want to go into detail on that and view our video on settings in depth, where I'm going to go back to the dashboard, you can see section 1's gone now. Section 2 is to add some agreements, so we click Agreements. This section is for agreements, what we want our users to sign. And I'm going to call this agreement Employer Agreement. And the section will be for agents, which is our employees, and it gives us the option to choose a sector. I'm going to select all sectors. Now it asks for the employment type, and we can choose employees or self-employed. I'm going to say all employees. An agreement text, I'm going to bring up some example Latin text just to fill this in. Obviously this would be your own agreement text. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to drop it into the agreement and click Submit. Okay, now so I'm going to repeat the process, but this time I'm going to add it for a client. We can choose client type commercial or private. I'm going to say all clients, and same again, I'm going to copy the text in and click Submit. So you can see now we've got two agreements, agent and client agreement. Okay, so I'm happy with them agreements, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And the third step is to set up inquiry questions. So I'll click Questions. So this is the inquiry questions section. Inquiry questions are basically information gathering questions that we ask the client, so we can generate a quotation from the answers that they give us. So we can select the client type between commercial and private. I'm going to select private clients. And now it asks us to choose a sector. For this demonstration purposes, I'm going to choose private investigation. Okay, and the question I'm going to ask is, why do you require a private investigator? The next we select an input type. This is how they're going to respond back to us. So either text, which is so they can type back to us, a drop down, which basically gives them a list of options and they can choose one, or what you see is what you get editor, which is basically a text box like a Microsoft Word document where they can type into it and they can make things bold and italic and things like that. So I'm going to set this input type as text and I click submit. Okay, so that's our first inquiry question added. If you notice on the left hand side there's a private investigation tab. If I click that, this now shows us all questions we're asking for private investigation for both commercial and for private. For demonstration purposes I'm going to add one more, and it's for private. And the question I'm going to ask is, how many private investigators do you require? I'm going to choose this time the drop down input type, and I'm going to give them the options 1, then I press comma, 2, 3, 4, 5, So we separate each option with a comma, and then that becomes an item in the drop down list. So I'm happy with that. I click save. Now I've got 2 items in the list that we're going to ask the clients. Okay, so I'm happy with that. That's our inquiry questions added, and that's the end of the setup. If we go back to the dashboard, you'll notice getting started is now gone. And please note, you only need to do this once. Once it's set up, that's it, and you're good to go. There's one feature I want to point out briefly before we move on to the next section, and that is the form editor. So to access the form editor, we go to settings and then edit forms. And you can see from here we can edit the form for each application process for each sector individually. So for close protection, I can turn these items off. Anything that I don't wish to have on the form, I can just deactivate them. And as you can see, the SIA number is forced, meaning the applicant cannot proceed with the application without completing this field. We could also switch it to required, which would allow the applicant to proceed, but would alert them to go back and complete the field as it is a required part of the form. We can also edit the application form wizards, turning them on and off and changing the details on a sector by sector basis. So if we change the sector to tracing, you can see a lot of the items are switched off, like SIA number is not required. So this form editor gives you the power to build your forms exactly as you want them. Okay, so now we've initially set the system up, the next thing I want to demonstrate is how to register as an employee. And I'm going to demonstrate the form editor by registering first for tracing and then registering again for private investigation. We're going to go ahead and register as an employee. It states, do you have an account? No, so I'm going to click register. Okay, so this is the application form for the employees. This is the basic form to collect the basic information from them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and fill this in. Okay, so I've went away and filled it in. I've just filled in basic details like Mr. John Doe, date of birth, 15th of the 3rd, 71, gender male, and I've put in our demo phone's mobile number so we can test mobile features of the system. As you can see, sector selection, I've chose tracing because we're going to sign up for tracing. So I've also put in a test email for this user, John, at Vireo Software, so we can test the emails. I've put in the password. It checks the password to make sure the passwords match. It also gives us password strength. And I take I'm not a robot to make sure it's not spam. Select all the motorcycles. I'm good to go on. We click apply. Okay, now it says you have completed your application. Please now log in with your email and password you provided and complete your profile in full. You'll be greeted with the account wizard. If we bring up the email client, you can see we've got a welcome email. All correspondence can be edited and changed from under the triggers submenu of the settings section. So now we just log in with the same email and password what we registered with and click sign in. So this is the account wizard and this is the welcome screen, just basically telling them to go through it step by step. So we click OK and you'll notice there's only one tab on the account wizard. The system has built the wizard to suit the sectors that I've selected. Okay, so I've went away and I've completed the address information. So this section's finished, so I'll click finish. The next section is to prove our address and upload our passport for identity verification. So just click here to upload a file. I'm going to upload a utility bill and select utility bill and click add. And you can see it's ticked our address verification and it's moved on to the passport. So we're going to click here and upload passport. and select the expiry date and click add, and you can see they're both ticked now, and we click finish. So as you can see, it says success, you have completed the account wizard, and it says please check all information is complete and please upload a passport sized image of your head and shoulders. So to do that, they just click here and choose a file and John Doe profile. You can see here it lets us crop the image to whatever size we wish. And I'm happy with that, so I click done. And that's the profile image sorted. And as you can see, it took under 2 minutes for me to register as an employee. For tracing, it only asked for me address information, my due diligence, and a profile picture. So as you can see, if we go to the dashboard, this gives the employee an overview of his profile progress, how far is completed. And as you can see, everything's been completed apart from to be verified. But the administrator needs to do that, needs to verify the passport and verify the proof of address. There's some quick links to upload an invoice and view the calendar. There's also details on the mailbox, any operations, invoices they've uploaded and payments they've received. Obviously there's a lot more to the employee dashboard, so if you want more detail in this section you can view our in-depth videos. But for this video I want to run back through the application process as an employee signing up for private investigation. So to do that I simply click the user's name in the top right hand corner and click log out. This then brings us back to the employee login screen, and I want to register again, so I click register. And because I've already run through the basic information and the account wizard, I just want to briefly run through them and I'll automatically fill them in as I go. So as you can see, I've filled the details in again, but this time as Mr. Peter Smith. For in the demo mobile, I've selected private investigation in the sectors this time. And I've put in an email, a password, and we're ready to apply. Click apply. Enter our credentials again and click sign in. And now we're back in the account wizard. Click OK there, and now you'll notice we've got 5 sections. Not just address, we've got basic info, social info, health info, medical info. So the system's changed itself to suit the sectors that we're applying for. All of this can be changed from the edit forms section. You can turn everything off, you can turn everything on, or anything in between. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so I've went away and filled them in. Marital status single, nationality British, ethnic group Caucasian, religion CUV, telephone number SIA, home address, your personal social media, height 6 foot. You'll notice if we change it, it automatically converts it into centimetres. So if I say 6 foot, it changes it into centimetres. Weight, blood group, next. Medical centre and dental centre. And click finish. Okay, the next wizard sections comprise of next of kin, languages, military service, and additional other details. Okay, so I went through and completed all the fields. So I filled in the next of kin, next. Languages. If they want to add an additional language, they can click add language and then select language from every language in the list. They can add as many languages as they want. For now I'm just going to keep it to 1 language. Click next. Service and force info. If they select the country, it automatically finds all forces from that country. And then when they select the force, it automatically brings up the force ranks for that force within that country. So for instance, if I select United States, and if I select FBI, it has all the FBI's ranks. And that's included for every single country around the world. But I'm going to switch it back to police sergeant and the description desk sergeant. Click next. Additional details, I put hobbies computing, interested in music, national insurance number, doesn't drive, no disabilities. I've put criminal record as yes. Work permit required, no. Computer literacy, good. And that's that section finished, so we click finish. Next section comprises of company info for self-employed, data protection, any capabilities, and biography. Okay, so I've went away and completed all the sections. So I've completed the company information, including company registration, VAT registration, and social media. Next. GDPR, I've added a fake data protection number and set the ICO expiry date as the 4th of February 2020. Next. Selected a few capabilities. Click next. And added a short biography that I found on the internet. And that's that section finished. So click finish. This section of the wizard is insurance details for subcontractors. and it comprises of employer liability, public liability and professional indemnity. Okay, so I've went away and completed these sections, so I'll click next. Employer liability, I put Hiscox, effect policy number, maximum cover 1 million and an expiry date. Same again for public liability insurance, and same again for professional indemnity insurance. So that's section finished. Click finish. Okay, this section of the wizard comprises of education, qualifications, previous employment and references. Okay, so I've went away and completed all the sections. For education, they basically just type in the establishment, select the education type, the date they enrolled and the date they graduated. So I've added one Hallcroft Manor School, secondary school, enrolled 1990, graduated in 1985. Click next. Next section is qualifications. Just upload a file, add the qualification, the award and body, what year it was awarded, who the training provider was, and if the qualification expires. I've added one there, level 3 professional investigator, award and body IQ, 2007, and I've uploaded the file. Click next. Same with the employment, just fill in the employment details. As you can see, I've added one from MITI, sector surveillance, surveillance operator, I'll put the start and end date in. Next, this is to add a reference, put the name, the establishment, the person's role, a contact number, contact email, and how long they've known the person for. So I've added one for David Jones from MITI, who's a manager, and put the telephone, email, and how long I've known the person for. So this is the CV section finished. So we just click finish to continue. Now you'll recognise this section from the previous application. We had to upload our proof of address and passport, but there's 3 extra sections now: driving licence, SIA licence and DBS certificate. Okay, so I've went away and completed other sections by uploading evidence in exactly the same way as before. So if I click next, you can see I've uploaded the passport. Click next. I've uploaded the driving licence by selecting the document type and select the expiry date. Next. I've uploaded the SIA licence and set the expiry date. Next. Same with the DBS certificate. Uploaded the file and selected the expiry date. And that's that section finished, so we click finish. Okay, this wizard section is personal appearance, and it consists of tattoos, hair details, and uploading a profile picture. So this is the tattoo selector, so they just simply select a part of the body, complete the information, and click add. Now you can see they've got a tattoo listed: location chest, design tribal, colour black, 5 cm in size, and it's not visible. I'm going to add one more on the back. I'm going to say right forearm, complete the details, and click add. Okay, so that's tattoo locations complete. Click next. Okay, so I've completed the hair details section. Next. Now we upload a profile photo. Okay, so that's the profile photo uploaded, and that's this section finished, so we click finish. Okay, so just to recap, I've signed up once for tracing, where I'd pre-selected the bare minimum fields in the form editor, which took me less than 2 minutes to apply. And to contrast, I then signed up as private investigator, where I pre-selected all the fields on the form editor, which took me around half an hour to complete. And as you can see, because I selected more items on the form editor for private investigation, there's more items in the profile progress and more items to verify. So if we move on, the next thing I want to show you is the employee vetting process. As you can see, the employee section is in green. I've colour coordinated them: green for the employee section and blue for the administrator section, just to make it a bit more clearer for this demo. So I'm going to log out of here and bring up the administrator section. Okay, so we're back in the administrator section. So we put in our credentials and click sign in.
Commander is online.
And now we're logged into the administration section again. You can see it's blue. And we've got 14 notifications. So if I click up here, you can see it's in chronological order. We can see there's been a new application. John Doe's logged in. He's uploaded 2 evidence. There's been another application. Peter Smith's logged in. He's uploaded education, qualifications, employment, and 5 evidence. And you can see it tells us how long ago this happened. So evidence added 26 minutes ago. New application an hour ago. It helps us to keep track of what's happening on the system. So I've read them, so I click mark all as read. Now in the dashboard area, you'll notice we've got 2 applicants, 7 evidence, 1 qualification and 1 employment. So the dashboard gives us an overview of how many people have applied and how many uploads we've got to review. Click on applicants. You can see we've got 2 pending applicants, Mr. John Doe and Mr. Peter Smith. We can accept and decline them from here. Go back to the dashboard. We've got 7 evidence. Click here. You can see John Doe and Peter Smith have uploaded documents for us to review. We can accept or delete them from here. If we click view file, we can then view the file that the applicant has uploaded. And then if we're happy with that utility bill proof of address, we just click accept. And you can see success, the evidence has been successfully verified. And under the applicant submenu, you can see we've got qualification review, employment review, evidence review. We can access these anytime from the applicant submenu. Alternatively, if we go to pending applicants and then go into the applicant's profile, we can then review the qualifications and employments from within their profile as well. We can see here how far along they are from completing the profile. Also, if we're running to the BS7578 standard, we can click here to the BS7578 screening page, and it tells us all the things we should be checking to follow that standard. On the right hand side here, you'll notice criminal records in red. We made it red to stand out because people were missing it during the vetting process. Criminal record was an important part of the NSI Gold standard as well as the BS7578 standard. So we put it in red so it stands out a little bit more. Also, when you accept them, when they've got a criminal record, you'll notice it says this applicant has a criminal record. Please check and confirm DBS certificate for crime details before making a final decision. So this is the profile for Peter Smith, who signed up for private investigation. And because I'd selected everything on the form editor for private investigation, you'll notice his profile is in full. He's got basic information, job information, health information. Everything we completed in the wizards is listed within his profile. You see he's got SIA Checker, references, evidence, employment, tattoos, appearance, all of his company details, computer literacy. He's got a full profile. So now if I go to the other applicant, John Doe, who signed up for tracing, which we'd selected nothing, you'll notice all he's got is basic info and the evidence he's uploaded. You'll notice the BS7578 screening button's gone because he doesn't have all the items to match that standard. So his profile is just bare minimum. So as you can see, the system lets you have everything or nothing. It's entirely up to you how you want to use the system. You can build the profiles in full, or you can have nothing at all. And you can do that on a sector by sector basis. Also, if I click edit profile, you'll notice that all John Doe has is basic info, address info, employment type, and sector selection. Whereas if I go back to Peter Smith and click edit profile, you notice he has basic info, home address, personal, social media, health. All these items are here because he signed up for a private investigation instead of tracing. But I could go to settings and then edit forms, and I could go to private investigation and I could turn all this off if I wanted to and strip the application form, the account wizard, and his profile right back. So the power is basically in your hands. I'm going to go back to the applicant. And I'm quickly going to edit his profile. I'm going to go to driving license and say he does drive. I'm going to add a fake driving license number. And I'm going to switch his employment type to subcontractor. See, if he's an employee, we can set his salary details. Also salary increase, what the system automatically calculates on a yearly basis. I'm going to set the employment type to subcontractor and click save. You can see now he's listed as a subcontractor, and also employer liability, public liability and professional indemnity is now shown up on his profile as these fields are required for a subcontractor. You also notice that the driving license now has a link for us to click through and check his driving license record. And thanks to Mark Thompson from Ratio Surveillance for letting us use his details for this demo. So if you scroll down, you can see here it says SIA number, and the SIA number is a link. If we click it, it takes us through to the SIA website where we can check the person's SIA license. Alternatively, if we want to keep a record of that check, we can scroll down to where it says SIA Checks, and if we click that button, that then goes away to the SIA website, does a check, and then saves that check in the database. If we go to Tools SIA Checker, we can batch check everybody in the company and generate reports based on those checks. We can also go away and check the ICO number by clicking here. That has went away to the ICO website and check the ICO number. We can also click the VAT number, and that will take us to the European Commission's website to check the VAT number. So I'm happy with everything on his profile. I'm going to go across to Qualification Review, and I can view his file. Yep, happy with that. Click Accept. Go to Employment Review. Click Accept on that. Go to Evidence Review. I'm happy with all Peter Smith's evidence. And I'm happy with John Doe's evidence. Okay, so if we go back to pending applicants, we could accept and decline from here, but if I go into Mr. Peter Smith, you can see his profile is now 100% complete. Everything's been verified and everything's been uploaded what we required. So I'm happy with him, so I click Accept. It notifies us that he's got a criminal record to double check. It also asks us if a driving declaration is required. Driving declarations are agreements that your subcontractors and employees would sign as a guarantee that they haven't been banned and that their license is still valid. But for Peter Smith, I'm going to say no and click confirm. And as you can see, this applicant has been successfully accepted. So we've only got one pending applicant now. And if we go to agents and click all agents, we've got one Mr. Peter Smith in our employee subcontractor section. We can search by last name and we can search our employees and subcontractors. We can also do a quick search by clicking the search icon at the top and typing in the surname. This lets us search for people by distance and location. It lists our employees and subcontractors as well as pending applicants. Okay, so if we switch over to Peter's email account, you can see he's got the welcome email and he's also got an accepted email because we accepted his application. Okay, so what if we don't want to deal with employees? What if we're keeping our employees' data in a filing cabinet? We can switch the employee section off completely if we don't want it. We go to settings and access. We go to agent settings and we can turn the registration page off and we turn the login page off. And click save. Now there is no login page, no registration page. All that is shown is a 404 error page. And as you can see, we've got no applicants, we've got no employees or subcontractors. Those items have totally disappeared from the menu. But for this demo, I'm going to turn them back on and click save. Before we continue on to the next section, I just want to run through some settings for the client portal. Under the payment settings, we can set the payment terms for commercial. It's currently set to 1 week due invoice, but we can request an upfront payment. We can select any period up to 1 year. I'm going to leave that for 1 week due for commercial. The commercial invoice settings lets us select whether the client can view the invoice either before the due date or after the due date. This can be overwritten on an invoice by invoice basis, but this is the default. What you would use this for is if you were primarily doing work where the invoice will change up till the due date and you will want to continue to modify the invoice up until that date. We can also set it for payment terms private, but I'm going to request an upfront payment from private clients. And these settings will not matter for upfront payment as the invoice will instantly be paid. From here we can set the payment gateway. I'm going to select Stripe, and we can also select the checkout type. We can have Enquiry and Quotation, which means the client has to inquire, we send them a quotation, and then the system generates an invoice. Or we can select Checkout and Pay if we wish to sell set price products which do not change from client to client. But I'm going to select for this demo Enquiry and Quotation, and I'm going to click Save. Okay, so we went through the vetting process and accepted a subcontractor into the system so we can register them to do some work for us. The next thing I want to demonstrate is registering as a client, submitting a job inquiry, and go through the stages to demonstrate the client section. Okay, so this is the client login screen. We don't have an account and we want to register as a client, so we click register. Okay, so this asks us for our basic information. On the client application form, only the first name, surname, email and password are required. So we've filled in all the details and ready to apply. Just click apply. It says you have completed your account registration. You may log in with the email and password you provided. So we put in our login credentials and click sign in. Now this takes us to the account wizard to help the client get started. So let's click next. Will you be using this account for your own personal affairs or the affairs of or on behalf of a commercial organisation? And I'm going to say personal. Next. Will you be making payments using your own personal account or the account of a commercial organisation? I'm going to select personal and click next. And then it automatically detects the account type based on the options we've chosen. So based on the information you have provided, we recommend a personal account. This has been selected for you. Please continue. We've completed stage 1 of the account wizard, so we click finish. Now it's asking for the personal info. We've already completed that. Click next. And now the address details. So I've went away and completed that. And that's the second section finished, so we click finish. Now it's asking us for our due diligence, which is our proof of address and proof of identification. So same as in the employee section, the client would just click here and select the utility bill and select evidence type utility bill, add. And now it's asking for identification, driving license or passport. Just click here again. This time I'm going to select the driving license. Select driving license as the evidence type and click add. So that's the due diligence section completed, so we click finish. And now we're onto the service selection wizard. Because we have the checkout type as Enquiry and Quotation, this section is the Enquiry wizard and it helps them to pick a service and then make an inquiry. So if we click next, You'll notice there's only one item in the list because we've added inquiry questions for only one sector, and that's private investigation. So I'm going to choose private investigation and then click finish. And now it says we will now ask you a few questions regarding the services you selected. So click next. And you'll notice earlier on in the initial setup video, I added some inquiry questions during the initial setup. And the two questions I asked was, why do you require a private investigator, and how many private investigators do you require? I then selected the drop down option and added the option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I select here, you can see it has 1 through to 5 in the drop down menu. So for why do you require a private investigator, I'm just going to enter cheating spouse. And how many private investigators do you require? I'm going to select 2. And then I'm going to click finish. Okay, this section is the client agreement section. And if you notice, during the initial setup, we set up some agreements. One is an employer agreement for our employees, and one is a client agreement. And I copied in some Latin text. And as you can see, the Latin text is here, but that would be our own agreement text. All the client does is simply sign here, ticks the agree box, and clicks sign document. And that's the client application complete. There's a lot more to the client dashboard, including adding inquiries, viewing quotations, invoices and payments, but we'll touch on these a little bit later on. The client application process takes around 5 to 10 minutes depending if they have the documents at hand, so it's a quite simple process. And now we have a client. What I want to do now is log back into the administration section and show you what the administrator sees now we have received an inquiry. Okay, so we're back at the administrator login section. I'll put in our credentials and click sign in. We've got 4 new notifications. We've got a new client logged in, Jenny Walker, made an inquiry and then logged back out. You can see here we've got 1 client, 2 client verification and 1 inquiry. So if I click client verification, you can see we can check Jenny Walker's utility bill, which is uploaded. We can accept here or delete, the same as the employee section. We can also go to identification, and same again with the driving license. We can click to view the file. But we can also go to clients, all clients, and then click into the client's profile. And you can see here we have the same options to accept and delete for address verification and identification. We've got the ability to manually add due diligence in case the client is having trouble and decides to send it to us. We can then record it on their profile. You can see here we've got an inquiry, no quotations, no invoices, and on the right hand side we've got agreements. If we click here, you can see this client has signed the agreement, and if we click view agreement, we can then view the signed agreement online. If we're not happy with the signature, we can force them to re-sign the agreement, or from the personal agreement section, we can add agreements specific for only this client. System agreements are system-wide for all clients, and personal agreements are specific for that individual client. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to accept the due diligence. You can see that it's now verified. Go to identification, click accept. You can see it's now verified. And you notice we've got 1 inquiry. We can either view from here, or we can go back to the dashboard and click inquiries. This gives us a list of our inquiries from our clients. This one's from Jenny Walker and it's currently pending. It's for private investigation, and we can click view. As you can see, the answers to the questions the client has submitted are now viewable. Obviously the questions are very basic. You could ask as many questions as you like and as in-depth as you require. But what I would now do is review the questions and generate a quotation based on the answers the client has given us. So the task reference is automatically generated based on the template in the settings, what I've chosen, and we can choose a team size. I'm going to say this job is a 2-man team because I wanted 2 private investigators. And the task title, we can call it anything, it's only for our reference. I'm going to call it JW Affair. And then we set the expected start date. I'm going to set it to the 25th of December. And length type, we can set it to a length in days, the number of days we think the task is going to take. We can specify an end date for the task, or we can say until further notice. So I'm happy with that, so I click add. And now our quotation has been generated. And as you can see, it gives us the task details, expected 2-man team, with the title, no description, no requirements currently, the expected start date, length, and what sector the task is in. There's currently no income rate, or payment term set. So to add more details, we can click edit. And you can see the quote status is generate task on acceptance. We've got the options to generate the task when the client accepts the quotation, or we can assign this quotation to an existing task, where I'm going to keep it on generate task on acceptance. In the task description, I've put 2-man team required to follow a mail, possible infidelity. The task description and task requirements are sent to the employee when you advertise this task. So the task requirements, we could say you need your own DSLR camera and your own van, or you need a specific type of education or specific type of equipment or clothing. So basically you're telling the employee what you require for this task. The task income rate is the amount you're thinking of charging the client. So I'm going to say 2,500 set price. You can also set the agent payment rate, which is how much you're thinking on paying the agents. This is only a template for now, so I'm just going to say £25 hourly. Employee payment terms I'm going to put as invoice clears 3rd of January. Expenditure agreed I'm going to leave blank. Does the task include travel mileage? No. Include on-plot mileage? No. Include travel time? I'm going to say no. Task location I'm going to leave at the client's address. We can modify the sectors for this task generation, but I'm just going to leave it at private investigation. Under generation we've got two options. We can either automatically generate the task upon acceptance of the quotation from the client, or we can let them accept and then we can manually generate the task, but I'm going to select automatically generate the task upon acceptance, and then I'm going to click submit. Okay, so now we're back at the quotation overview, and as you can see the task details have been updated with the requirements, the description, the financial details, payment terms. So now we've added the task details, we can go ahead and complete the quotation details. So the quotation text, we could use this section to write anything we want on the quotation for the client. So I've added a little message in there for the client. So I've just written a little thank you message. You could write anything in this box and it would be displayed on the quotation. So now I'm going to add some items to the quote. So we click add quote item. So I've put 2 times private investigators at £1,000 each. Click save. And as you can see we've got an item in the row now for quotation items. 2 times private investigators £1,000 each. Total of £2,000. So the system's automatically calculated the VAT because we have set it in the settings. So it's £2,000 plus 400 VAT equals 2,400. So I'm happy with that quotation. So I'm now going to send the quote to the client. So I click send quote. Now it says you're about to send this quotation to the client Jenny Walker for the amount 2,400. This will send an email to the client notifying that a quotation is available for review. So to send that off, we click send. And as you can see it says success, quotation has been successfully sent to the client. But what if we make a mistake on the quotation? We can simply go down and retract the quote from the client. So if I click retract quote, you can see you're about to retract this quote from the client Jenny Walker. Okay. So now because we've sent the quote to the client, I'm going to log back in as the client and show you how the client will review the quotation. Okay, so we're back at the client login screen. We sent the client a quotation, so the client would have received an email or text message depending on the settings you set in the triggers page, and that would advise the client to log in. So we're at the client login page, so I'm going to click sign in. You notice at the top there's a warning, you currently have quotations outstanding. You can see here it says inbox sent quotations 1. You can access it from quotations in the menu or just simply by clicking here in the dashboard. And you can see it says JW Affair status pending, and then just click the view button to view. You can see it gives them an overview, quotation details, and the quotation line items and the price. If they're happy with this quote, they can just click accept quote. And it says you're about to accept the quotation for the amount 2,400. Accepting the quote will automatically generate an invoice. Depending on the invoicing settings we've chosen, the client will either generate an invoice or take it to the payment screen if we set the settings to upfront payment. And you'll notice we set the settings to upfront payment, so this client will be taken direct to the payment screen. So we click accept. And as you can see, we're at the make payment screen. It gives them an overview of the items they're paying for. It asks for card number, expiration and CSV. This card number is a demo card number for Stripe, which is our credit card processor. I'm going to put in any expiry date and any CSV number. And then they click make payment. And as you can see, it says success, your card payment has successfully been taken and your invoice has been marked as paid. It's took the client directly to the invoices screen. And as you can see, the status is set to paid. If they click on the invoice row, it takes them through to a PDF invoice which they can download or they can print out. If we go to payments, this section gives the client a list of payment history. And as you can see, they've got a credit card payment of 2,400. That transaction ID is actually the receipt number from Stripe, and it has the taken by and pay date. You'll see the taken by field is blank. That's because no administrator has taken the payment. It's the client themselves. Okay, so I've just moved over to the Stripe test account. And you can see there's a payment gone through for 2,400 and it's succeeded. It says payment succeeded, Stripe risk evaluation normal. And you can see the exact same transaction ID. Okay, so the client has made a payment. And if you remember, we selected to automatically generate the task upon payment. So the client can now go to tasks. And you'll notice there's a task here, JW Affair, with the address and the start date. The client can then click into the task. This is the task details page, and this gives them an overview of the task. They can add subjects, view reports, view any operational media, add or view any miscellaneous documents, and view any invoices tied to the task. They can also add notes. But we are wanting some further information from the client, so they click Subjects. And you'll notice 3 headings: Individuals, Vehicles and Buildings. Because this is private investigation, this has opened the tools up for the client to add their own subjects. In the top right, they just click Add Subject, and then it asks for the subject type. They can choose individual, vehicle or building. If they choose individual, it asks for the individual information. If they choose vehicle, it asks for vehicle information. And if they choose building, it asks for the address. So I'm going to start by adding an individual. So I've added the individual's data, and I click Add. And you can see, success, your subject has been successfully added. And now I'm going to add a vehicle. So we click Add Subject, and select Subject Type Vehicle. Okay, so I've went away and I've added the vehicle details, so we click Add. As you can see, we've got 1 individual and 1 vehicle. What the client can now do is click on the individual. Now it brings us through to the subject profile where the client can add some photos. So to do that, they click Add Photo. So they fill in the details and then they choose the image and click Add. And now you can see the photo has been added to the subject's profile. They can enlarge the photo or they can delete it. I'm going to add 1 more photo and I'm going to click Add. And as you can see, both photos of the subject are now uploaded to the system. The client can then go back, click on the vehicle, and then repeat for the vehicle. So I'm going to click Add Photo. They put in the details, select the image, and then click Add. The client has now uploaded a photo for the subject vehicle. And we can go back. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add 1 more subject. This time it's going to be the building. Add the details, and then click Add. The client can then click View Map to verify that this is the correct address. And then the same again, they can click into the building, click Add Photo, add the details, and again choose the file, and click Add. And as you can see, clients can upload photos of the property. They can also view the map on the right hand side to double check the address is correct. So I'm going to go back. So that is the client's job done now. Obviously the client doesn't have to upload the subject information. You can do it from the administrator section, but it is more beneficial from a data protection perspective. So now I'm going to log in as the administrator and show you what the administrator sees and get to work managing our employees. Okay, so we're back at the administrator login screen. We type in our credentials and click Sign In.
Commander is online.
And as you can see in the top left hand corner, 7 notifications. And the same again, client logged in, quote accepted, payment received, added 3 subjects and then logged back out. So I've read them, so click Mark all as read. Okay, so since in this section we're working with tasks, and the task has been generated when the client paid, we can either click the tasks button in the dashboard, or we can click the tasks menu, and then either all tasks or pending tasks. So I'm going to click all tasks. And you can see here we've got a list of all tasks. There's currently only 1 there from the client Jenny Walker. It's the client we've just logged in as, the JW Affair task. And it's currently in amber, which is pending. So as you can see, you've got pending, active, complete, and cancelled. These statuses actually have meaning to how the system operates. So if we click into the task, then you can see status pending. And at the top, you've got expenses, nothing, staffing 0, received 2,400, and as you've seen, the client paid on their debit card or credit card, and the total is 2,400. Because this is private investigation, it's given us a lot of tools to deal with this task. From brief sheets, briefing notes, shift rotors and calendars, impact assessment, operation maps, travel information such as uploading boarding passes, flight information. Obviously these tools are only there in case you need them. If you don't need them, just ignore them. Operator reports, that's for when the operators send the reports to you. Media, that's when they send pictures and videos to you to file to the client. Any miscellaneous documents for the operators, any expenses the operators have uploaded, any invoices they've uploaded, and the final report they've generated. Obviously this is on the operator section. And then you've got client tools with the client information. You've got images and videos that you've submitted to the client. You've got client reports that you've submitted, destruction certificates that you've generated, any quotations that pertain to this task, client invoices, and miscellaneous documents for the clients. And as you can see here, it's got all the financial information that was input on the quotation has been ported over into the live task. Same with all the task details, and it tells you if it's active on the jobs board. That allows the employees who sign in to view active jobs and apply for them. Now this is the section I want to go into a little bit more detail on. You've got the ability to advertise the job, shortlist your own candidates, add people to the successful team, and when you want them to go live, allocate them to the active team. We've been through this very, very carefully with a lot of companies in the security industry to work out the best method for managing your teams and applicants. It also helps you to keep a valid audit trail. It lets you see who applied, who was successful, and also lets you manage job data access. So the first thing we would want to do for this task is to advertise it. So we click Advertise. So this is the Advertise task page. It brings up the location info. It also lets us select the distance from the job we want to find candidates for. We could say we only want people who are within a 50-mile radius from the task, from 10 miles anywhere up to 500 miles away. So I'm going to leave it on any. As you can see, we've only got one private investigator, so it's only got one person in the list, and that's Peter Smith, who was our private investigator. So if we moved him over to the right-hand side, that means he's going to be contacted. And on the right-hand side, it gives us the payment details. Currently in the system, we've only got a standard rate set for £25 hourly. But the system allows you, if you go to Agents and Pay Rates, you can actually set different pay rates, such as team leader, let's say, or someone with a motorbike. You can set individual rates, and then when those people are contacted, they will only receive their individual payment rate. So a standard team member wouldn't see what a team leader is getting paid, and vice versa. Just below that, we've got SMS notifications. It tells us how many SMS credits we've got remaining and asks us, would we like to send a vacancy text message to the applicant selected above? I'm going to say yes. Then under that, we've got email notifications, and the same again, send vacancy email to applicant selected above. I'm going to say yes. If we've got this set up, it allows us to create a Facebook post, and if you notice, the description and the requirements are automatically put in here. You can modify them to suit your needs, or you can just leave them as standard. We can select the pages we want to post to. So I'm going to select both pages. If we don't select any pages, it won't be posted to Facebook. Underneath that, we've got Twitter post, and the same again, it's automatically compiled with the job information and the requirements. And underneath it asks post vacancy tweet to Twitter. I'm going to say yes. And just to run back through this allows us to select as many candidates as we want. We could send them all a text message, all an email instantly, post it to our Facebook pages, post it to our Twitter, all by just clicking that submit button. So we can do hours worth of work with one click. Okay, so we click submit, and that has gone away, posted to our Facebook pages, posted to Twitter, and sent a text message. If we bring up the demo phone, you'll notice we've got a text message through there. Video soft. We click it. Hi Peter, new job available in Hartlepool starting on the 25th of the 12th, 2018. Payment terms 25 hourly. Invoice clears 3rd of January. Respond at the following link. So if we click the link, it now says apply for position. You are applying for position. 2-man team required to follow a male possible infidelity. Requirements own DSLR camera and a van. Starting on the 25th of the 12th. £25 hourly. Invoice clears 3rd of January. Would you like to apply for this position? And if we click apply, application accepted. And if you notice here, Peter Smith has been added to our possible applicants list in real time. As soon as they click the apply button, they are instantly available on the system. Okay, so just to demonstrate the advertisement posted to Facebook pages and our Twitter account, we've got the first Facebook page. You can see it says 2-man team required to follow a male, possible infidelity, requirements on DSLR camera and van. And the login page, if they click that, that'll take them through to log in or register for the job. And as you can see, it says this was published by someone using Vireo Page Manager. So that was instant. And then to our second page, yet again, the exact same post, posted by Vireo Page Manager with the link to log in or register, so they can apply for the position. And same again if we open the Twitter, you can see posted on our behalf to Twitter. Okay, so we click that button, it posted to all of our social media, it sent text messages and emails out to all possible candidates what we selected. We found out in the field we can fill jobs in seconds, the text messaging. We can have a list of 15 applicants within a couple of seconds. There's no chasing people about. It's instantaneous responses. So you'll notice that Peter Smith has actually faded out. As all the applicants respond, they will start appearing, but they will all be faded. And you will notice this one has a little mobile phone underneath it. That tells us that he's applied via mobile, via text message. If they apply via email or by logging in through the social media and registering, it will show a little desktop or an email under there. Let's say we had 25 candidates here. The next stage would be to shortlist the candidates that we were thinking about using for the job. So to do that, we would click shortlist candidate. And since there is only one candidate available, we select the candidate from the list and click add. Now we've got to notice the applicant has already applied for the task. He's been added to the shortlist and will now be highlighted. He will be available on the roster when you print the shortlist PDF file for the client. So if we go down, you'll notice that he's highlighted now. So you would have a list there of the highlighted ones which you've shortlisted and the faded ones which are people who have applied but haven't been shortlisted for the position. The ones that are highlighted can then be printed via the shortlist PDF, which then prints out the biography along with the photo and tries to make the candidate anonymous. This shortlist could then be presented to the client if you wish, so they could choose a viable candidate for this job, but it's not necessary if you don't require it. So that's the advertisement section finished. We've posted to our Facebook, we've sent text messages and emails out, and we've received responses back. We've shortlisted our candidate, and we're happy. Out of the shortlisted candidates now, we can pick a successful team. So to do that, we click Add Applicant. This list here will only show us the shortlisted candidates, but since we only have one, we can only select Peter Smith and click Add. So you can see here, Peter Smith has moved from Applicants, and he's moved into Successful Team. So now Peter Smith is in the Successful Team. When a successful team member is currently allocated, they have full access to the task data. If you remove them from the currently allocated team, this will remove their access. So because I want to give Peter Smith access and he can contribute to the task data, I'm going to now allocate him to the team. We can either click here to allocate a team member, or if we go into the brief sheet, this allows us to set an introduction and then set the team. So if I click Assign Team, as you can see, Peter Smith is available. We can say he's the team leader. We're going to give him a call sign of Sierra, and he's not using any vehicle on the job. I'm going to click Save. And as you can see, team member has been successfully assigned to the brief sheet. So just to run through this brief sheet, you've got the introduction, the team, the subject information, which was submitted earlier on, the ground location, intelligence and background, mission and aims, and execution. Now if we go back, you can see now we've got Peter Smith as the successful team, and he's currently allocated. In the top right here, we've got clear allocation. That lets you one click instantly unallocate the full team. Just to the right here, we've got operator reports, so I'm going to click here. This section lets us add reports for the operators to compile. So I'm going to add a report, set the report date to today, set the report reference, and set the start time to 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to leave the end time blank because we do not know what time the task is going to finish. So I click Save Changes. So we've got a report with a reference, start date, start time, end time is blank, and it's currently unlocked and it's not signed off. Okay, so if we click into the report, you can see we can edit the report details. This section we can add report subjects. What this is used for is so you can have multiple reports and you can have each report on an individual subject. Let's say you had 3 teams, you wanted 3 reports, and they're all chasing an individual subject. So we click Add Subject, and you can see it gives us a list of the subjects, individuals, vehicles, and addresses. So on this report, I'm going to add the individual. I'm also going to add the vehicle. And I'm going to add the address. Okay, so you can see report events. On the right hand side, you can see we can add an event. Just type the information in and click Save Changes. If the administrator wants to compile the report, but we're going to let our employees do this. You'll also see there's a lock where we can lock the report. What the lock is for is when your employees have finished compiling the report and you're happy with it, you lock it so they can no longer edit the report. There is also the executive summary, where we can summarize the report to the client, and you notice at the bottom we can sign this off. It says, I understand that signing this report off will allow the client access. To sign it off, we simply tick the checkbox and click Sign Off. But our report is not finished yet, as the employees have not contributed. So I'm going to go back, and then back again. I'm happy with that, and we're ready to go, so I'm going to change the status to active. Okay, this job is now active, so our employees can contribute to this task. So I'm going to log out, and I'm going to show you how your employees can view information and contribute. Okay, so now we brought up Peter Smith, the employee's email account. And as you can see, like the text message, he's received an email to tell him there's a new job available. But he's also received an email to say he's been successfully assigned. You have been successfully added to a team on task. Okay, so we're back at the employee login screen. And we're going to log in as Peter, who's our private investigator, who we accepted. So we put in our credentials and click Sign In. And you'll notice, since this is the first time Peter has logged in since being accepted by the admin, he's now brought through to the agreement signature page to sign his agreements. So the same again, the Latin text is in the body of the agreement, but that will be your own agreement text. And if you notice the one, it says, please do not try and copy any information from the system. Your usage of the system is being tracked. This page is protected by our inbuilt copy protection system. If you notice in the background, there's a slight watermark, but I'm going to show you how the copy protection system works in a moment. But I'm going to sign this agreement by signing here and ticking the I agree box and clicking Sign Document. Okay, so now we're into the dashboard. You'll notice again in the top left hand corner, 2 notifications, successfully assigned and report added. So I've read them, so click mark all read. Now you'll notice in the quick links, inbox 0, sent 0, operations 1. We can either access it by clicking here in the dashboard or by clicking operations in the menu. So this page lists the current active operations that the employee is a part of. There is only one operation currently listed as active. So to go into the operation, we simply just click on it. And as you can see, the background again is watermarked, so this page is protected by our copy protection. If we go into the brief sheet, as you can see, the employee can view the brief sheet. You can view who's on the team, the subject information, ground information, and everything else that's part of the brief sheet. But this is where I would like to demonstrate the copy protection. So if one of your employees tries to copy this information, or presses the print screen button, they are instantly banned from the system, and the administrators are notified of his intent. If we try and type in the credentials again and click sign in, you can see this employee is banned. So to unban this employee, I'm going to have to log back in the administrator section, which we'll do now. Okay, so we're back at the administrator login screen. So if I click sign in,
Commander is online.
we'll log back into the administrator dashboard, and you can see we've got another 3 notifications. So Peter Smith logged in, Peter Smith signed an agreement, and then we had a copy protection warning that Peter Smith tried to copy the page brief sheet. If we click on the agreement notification, it brings up the agreement and shows it signed. Now if we click on the copy protection warning notification this time, it will take us to the brief sheet what Peter Smith was trying to make a copy of. So we can see exactly the information he was trying to steal. So because this is only a demo, I'm going to go to Agents, All Agents, into Peter Smith's account, and scroll to the bottom, and you'll see there's an option to unban this agent. So click that. This will unban the agent. Make sure you want to proceed, confirm. Now that's Peter Smith unbanned from the system. So Peter was a naughty boy, but we forgive him this time. So we've unbanned him, and now we're going to sign in as Peter again. Now if we go back to the operations, and into the operation again, you can see the employee gets access to the task details, like we say, the brief sheet, any briefing notes, the task rota, any travel information, operation reports. They can upload images and videos to the operation, view any miscellaneous documents, add any expenses, and add any invoices to the operation. So Peter Smith's going to generate a report, so we click Operation Reports, and you can see there's one report here, so if we click into it. So now we're in the Employee Report Editor section. If multiple employees are working on this, you would see report events adding in real time, but there is only Peter Smith working on this report, so we're going to add an event. In this report event, I'm going to say event time 9:05, arrived at destination, set up camera, and click Save Changes. And you'll notice it starts compiling the events into a list, and it also lists the call sign, the event, any images, the date and time it was added, and who it was added by. So I'm going to add another event. In this event, I'm going to put at 9:10, Alpha 1 seen purchasing flowers at the corner shop, and click Save Changes. And now you can see we've got 2 events. But what if we wanted to do this out in the field? What I'm going to do is bring up the demo phone. I'm going to log in as Peter on the mobile version. So we put in our credentials and click sign in. You'll see this is exactly the same as the desktop version, except it's reformatted itself responsively to fit the screen. Exactly the same. If we click the bell, we can view the notifications. If we click the profile picture, we get the submenu options. And the same if we click the hamburger menu in the top right hand corner, out pops the full size menu with all the options. So we can do everything on the mobile version the same as we can do on the desktop version. So we are out in the field, and I want to add an item to the report. So I click one operation, click there. Click into the operation, scroll down, click Operation Reports, and then into the report itself. Now if we scroll down, you'll notice the events are listed. And doing the exact same process, if we click Add Event, we put in the report event values. I'll put event time 9:30, event Alpha 1 seen kissing unknown female, and Peter would click Browse. You can select from the photos on the device, but I'm going to select Camera. Now I'm going to take a photo of the SIM card. And then tick Confirm. Okay, then we can press Save Changes. And you can see, success, the report event has been successfully added. And you can see on the desktop version, our reports came up in real time. And we can click View Image, and that's the image we took on the mobile device. So that's our report done. So if we go back, and then back again, and if we go to Operation Media, you'll notice that the image we uploaded from the mobile device has automatically been added to the Operation Media section. And because the report is now finished, and this employee's completed his tasks, I'm going to upload an expense and then add an invoice. So to upload an expense, we go to My Expenses, and we click Add Expense, put in the details, then we select the file, and then we click Save Changes. And you'll notice our expense has now been added. So I'm going to go back, and if I go to My Invoices, from here we can add an invoice, but that would mean we would need to leave the system, go to Microsoft Word, generate ourselves an invoice, come back and upload it. But built into the system, if we go to Dashboard, there is a Generate Invoice quick link. We click that, and this lets us build an invoice without having to leave the system. You'll notice that the address is here, that's Peter's business address, and Special Surveillance, that's Peter's company name. And also the colours are the colour of the system. The employee can change that by going to Profile, Profile Info. Scrolling down to Invoice Generator Settings, and from here they can choose a colour. And choose pink. And they can upload a company logo if needed. If we scroll up to Company Info, you can see company name, Special Surveillance, and the company address. So we've chosen the colour. I'm going to quickly upload a logo. So click Choose File, choose the logo, and then click Save. So we go back to the invoice generator. You can see the colours have changed to suit my business colours, and my logo is now showing on the invoice generator. So I'm going to add an invoice reference number by clicking here, type in the reference, and click Save Changes. I'm going to add an invoice item. Type in the details. I've put quantity 20, item hours of private investigation, and the individual price is £25 per hour. And click Save Changes. You'll notice the breakdown now as an invoice item. It is automatically calculated. 20 times £25 equals £500. They can add more items or delete line items. But we're happy with that invoice, so we're going to click Preview. And our PDF invoice has been automatically generated based on the information. You will notice the bill to is locked to your company name and address. This prevents your employees and subcontractors from generating invoices for your competitors using your software. They would have to use some form of PDF editing software to change the bill to address, which defeats the object of using the invoice generator in the first place. I can print this out or download it, so I'm going to download it. So it's as simple as that for your subcontractors and employees to generate their own invoices. They could either hand it to you in person, email it to you, or if they go to the dashboard, there's an option to upload an invoice. So we click here. There is the ability to upload miscellaneous invoices that are not tied to tasks, but the employee must request access to unlock that section. But because this invoice is for a task, I'm going to click into the task and then click Add Invoice. Put in the price, put in the reference, and choose the invoice file. And click Save Changes. And as you can see, the employee can see the invoice has been uploaded for the amount, the date it's due to be paid, and if it's paid or not. So that is the employee section fully complete. We've logged in, we've managed a job, completed a report, we went out in the field and took a photo and uploaded that, we submitted an expense, generated and then uploaded the invoice. Now I'm going to switch back to the administrator section and show you how we can finalise the reports and deal with the operator invoices. Okay, so we're back to the administration section. So we type in our credentials and click Sign In.
Commander is online.
Now you'll notice in the top left hand corner 7 notifications. Click. You can see again, operator logged in, 2 events added to the report, operator logged in on the mobile, another event added to the report, added an expense and added an invoice. So I've read them, so I click Mark All as Read. So you'll notice in the dashboard we've got £500 unpaid agent invoices and we've got 1 open agent report. So if I click into the agent report and then click into the report, you can see this is the report that we've just been working on with Peter Smith. And as you can see, the items are in the list of events, including the image. So you can see the image is being uploaded. And if we were happy with them and we didn't want the agent to work on them anymore, we could click the lock. And the report is now locked so the agents can no longer edit the report. If we go up to the top, we can automatically generate a PDF or a Word document. So if we click here, you can see the report has been automatically generated by the information that's been input. Okay, so I've typed out an executive summary. So now this report is now fully completed. The employees went away and compiled the report for us. We've locked it. We've added an executive summary, and now we could sign it off to the client if we so wished by ticking here and clicking sign off. But for this demo, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to the task. I'm going to go into Operator Report, and I'm going to add another report. Type in the details and click Save. And now you'll notice we've got two reports, Report 1 and Report 2, on two separate dates. You notice the first one's locked and the second one's unlocked. I'm going to go into the second report. I'm going to go down. The last report was compiled on the ground by the agent. But let's say the agent didn't have his mobile or laptop with him and he compiled it on paper. We could manually add the events from the administrator section. So we type in events and click Save Changes. And I'm going to go away and add some more report events. Okay, so I've went away and added some report events. I've locked the report and I've added a summary. And this is how the events have went. They set up the camera. He's been seen leaving his home address. He was seen driving to Waterdown Close. He entered a news agent at Waterdown Close. He knocked on the door. He was seen kissing an unknown female on the doorstep. Then he entered the property with a female. He looked out the window wearing a dressing gown. The same unknown female appears at the window and kisses the target while she's wearing a dressing gown. He leaves the Waterdown Close address, leaves in his vehicle, heads back home, and then enters his home by himself. So now that report's done, I'm going to go back, and then back again, back to the task overview, and then we're going to go to Final Report. So this is the page where we can compile a final report from all of the reports that have been generated. That's the reason I generated two reports, so you can get a contrast of how the final report editor works. So as you can see here, we've got 3 items on Report 1, and the rest are on Report 2. And you'll notice the Add button on the right hand side. This allows us to add these events to the final report. That means we can cherry pick the most important events from each report to generate the final report. So what I'm going to do is say the most important one from Report 1 was our target kissing the unknown female. So I'm going to click Add. And then on Report 2, I'm going to put he's seen leaving his address, that he's seen arriving, that he knocked on the door of the address, that he was kissing on the doorstep, that he was seen entering, that he was spotted wearing a dressing gown, that she was spotted kissing him wearing a dressing gown, then he left dressed in his original clothing, that he arrives back at home, and that he was seen entering alone. Okay, so we've stripped out the ones that we find that are not important for the final report. We haven't added them to the final report. And if we go down, you can see we've got events that are actually on the final report here. So that on the 11th at 9:30, he was seen kissing a female. On the 12th at 10:15, he's seen leaving his house. 10:25, seen arriving at Waterdown Close, and so on and so forth. And if we scroll down, you can see we've got two report summaries here. We've got the summary from Report 1 and the summary from Report 2. What we then can do is click Add to add this report summary to the final report. I'm going to say the summary on Report 1 is not important, but the summary on Report 2 is, so I'm going to click Add. And you can see the final summary now includes the summary from Report 2, which we were happy with. Just for demo purposes, I'm then going to add the summary from Report 1. So we're happy with that. We've selected the most important events. We've compiled the final summary from the report summaries. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick, I understand that sign this report off will now give the client access. And I'm going to click the sign off button. As you can see, Success Final Report has been successfully signed off. If you want to, we can click here to download a PDF or a Word document. I'm going to click here. And as you can see, with a simple few clicks, we have generated a summary report or a final report based on the events from our individual reports. So you can see there is a summary. It's got all the subject information, and the events, including photographs, are compiled in a chronological order. So that's our final report completed. So I'm going to go back. And as you can see, we've got £20 expenses, 0 staffing costs. So I'm going to go to expenses. And you can see Peter Smith's uploaded £20 expenses for petrol. If we click view receipt, that lets us view the receipt. So I'm going to go back. And then I'm going to go to operator invoices. And as you can see, Peter Smith has uploaded an invoice with the reference and the price 500, date it's due, and the file. So if we click View Invoice, you can see the invoice that he had generated with the inbuilt invoice generator has been filed to the administrator. So we could go to our online banking, pay him, or pay him cash, or pay him check, whichever way we wanted to pay him, and then we simply tick Mark as paid. So that's that done. Go back. And now you can see we've got £20 expenses, now £500 staffing costs. It tells us we've received $2,400 from the client, and the total profit from the job is $1,880. So to finalise this task, I'm going to go down to Destruction Certificates. This is the Destruction Certificate section, and it's broke up into 3 sections. Stage 1 is to send destruction agreements to all members of your team. Stage 2 is to send destruction agreements to the client, and Stage 3 is the actual data destruction. So if we go back to Stage 1, this lets us send out a destruction agreement to all members of the team who are working on this task. And to do that, we simply click Send Agreements. It lists the employees and subcontractors who are working on this task. And as you can see, only Peter Smith has been working on this task. And it says, are you sure you would like to send out the agreements to be signed? I'm going to say Send. And as you can see now, it says Success Agent Agreements have been successfully generated. And in the table below, you can see the team members and if they've signed it. If we wanted to edit the agreements, we could go to Tools and Destruction Certificates. And from within this menu, we can edit the actual destruction agreements. But what I want to do now is log in as the team member Peter Smith and show you how the destruction agreements work. Okay, so we're back at the login screen. We've put in Peter's credentials and we click Sign In. As you can see, they're brought to the data destruction agreement page, and the agreement basically tells them that they must destroy all the data relating to this task, and that they will be liable under GDPR. So to sign this data destruction agreement, they simply just sign here. Tick I have destroyed all data and provide my signature, and they click Sign Document. And that's the data destruction agreement signed and completed. Okay, so we're going to log back in as the admin. So we type in the credentials and click Sign In.
Commander is online.
And again, we've got two notifications. And in chronological order, Peter Smith logged in, and Peter Smith signed data destruction agreement. And if we click that notification, that takes us through to view the signature. And we click here to view the agreement in PDF. As you can see, there's the agreement signed. So now our team have signed the data destruction agreements. We can move on to stage 2 for the client. If you wanted to manually send an agreement out to the client, we could click here to send them an agreement. But within the settings, I've set the option to automatically generate the agreement when the client views their final report. We'll come back to finalising the data destruction just before we complete this task. But what I want to do now is show you how stage 2 is automatically generated and how the client gets to view their reports. Okay, so we're back at the client login screen. We've typed in our credentials and we click Sign In. You'll notice at the top now it says Summary Report Available. You have an unread summary report available. And just to point out on the dashboard, you'll notice that it is not alerting us to sign a destruction agreement because this client hasn't viewed the summary report yet. But if the client goes to View Report, you will notice that it has now generated a data destruction agreement. So if we go back to the dashboard, you'll notice it now alerts as well that the client must sign this agreement. But first, let's go back to the report. And the same again, the client gets an overview of the events. They can view the images online, so they can view the image that our employee took and file to the report. They could also click here to download the image. They also have the final summary at the bottom. You'll notice they have a warning at the top saying Agreement Generated. Once you are satisfied with your reports, please download all media and reports and ensure you have backup copies on file. These must be stored in a secure location. We have generated a destruction agreement for you and require signature to destroy all third-party data. Under the GDPR Regulations 2018, we may not hold information on third parties without their express permission for longer than is needed to complete our business transaction. We must endeavour to destroy this data at the earliest opportunity. Thank you for your understanding. So as it says, to download all media and reports, they could click there to download the media and click here to download the report. And as you can see, the report is being compiled for them. And they simply click there to download. But we're the client, we've downloaded our pictures and media, and we've downloaded our reports, and we're happy to sign the data destruction agreement. So we click Sign Agreement. You will notice this takes us through to sign the agreement, and the agreement basically tells them the process to follow to ensure all data is backed up, and then once backed up, please store it securely. It also points out once data destruction is being carried out, we will not be able to retrieve any information or data, and please sign this after you have carried out the above action. So the client could sign here, but if they haven't backed the data up, they can click Sign Later. But let's say the client backed everything up, was in a hurry and wanted to log out and come back later. So we're going to sign out. The client comes back, puts in their credentials and clicks Sign In. Now you will notice since they have come back, the system has automatically recognised that and is pushing them to now sign the data destruction agreement. Obviously they can sign later if they haven't backed everything up, but this client has backed everything up and we're going to sign it. Tick I agree, I have backed up all data and click Sign Document. And that is the job complete now for the client. The client has received his reports, he's made backups of the reports, and he signed the data destruction agreement to say we can now destroy the data. So I'm now going to log back in as the administrator. Okay, so we're back at the administrator login screen. Put in our credentials and click Sign In.
Commander is online.
In the top left, you'll notice we've got 6 notifications. And same again in chronological order. Client logged in, client viewed the final report, client logged out, client logged back in again, client signed the data destruction agreement, and client logged out. If we click on the data destruction agreement notification, that takes us back to the data destruction page for this task. If we go to client, you can see the client has now signed the agreement. And if we click view agreement, you can see in the PDF it's been signed. Before we go ahead and destroy the data, I'm going to go back to the task. And I just want to quickly show you the audit trail before and after data destruction. So we click audit trail, and this brings up the full audit trail for the task. So it tells us the client information, the reference number and the title, and the date this audit was generated. It lists the quotations, including the full breakdown, all staff including all pay rates, hours worked and the amount paid. It includes all subject data, all reports, all expenses, any invoices from employees. It also shows employee destruction agreements, including the signature and the date signed, and client destruction agreements and the signature and the date signed. And then at the bottom, client invoices, including any payments. So this gives us a full overview of the task at the current date. Because it's got third-party data included currently, I wouldn't recommend giving this task audit to anybody apart from government bodies and auditing bodies who are going to respect the GDPR regulations. So now you've seen the task audit before data destruction. We're now going to go ahead and destroy the data. So we go down to destruction certificate. Now we can see all the team have signed. We go to stage 2. We can see the client signed. Now if we go to stage 3, this is the data deletion page. What it does is, firstly, it asks us to confirm all the signatures. This stage is in here so you don't accidentally destroy all the third-party data. You must first confirm the signatures, and then you can initiate the deletion. You don't have to have the signatures. You can simply confirm it without receiving the agreements from the team and the client. But this step is in place as a measure so you can confirm that you know what you were doing. But we have received signatures for agreements, so I'm going to click confirm. It brings up the current status of the destruction agreements issued. So as you can see, Peter Smith is ticked, who was our employee working on the task. And as you can see, the client Jenny Walker is ticked. It says, are you sure you would like to confirm the signatures? So we click confirm. And you can see signatures have been successfully confirmed. So if we go back to stage 3, confirm signatures is now faded out and the initiate deletion button has become available. And you can see it says confirming this stage will initiate the destruction of the task data, removing all subjects, reports, media, and all other sensitive data. So I'm going to click confirm. And now it gives you a list of all the things that the system will destroy. It will wipe your brief sheets, briefing notes, reports, report media, subject media, documents, SOPs, shift notes, travel information, mapping information, and tracking information. Now you'll notice the warning at the bottom. It says, please ensure no personal information or data is referenced within the impact assessment, as this will not be deleted for compliance reasons. This process is not reversible. Once you initiate deletion, all data is wiped. Are you sure you would like to delete all information related to this task? I'm going to click initiate deletion. And you'll notice it says success, all data has been successfully destroyed. Destruction log has been created and destruction certificate has been successfully generated. So if we go to stage 3 again, you'll notice we've confirmed the signatures, we have initiated the deletion, and now it gives us the option to send or review the certificate. We can click here to view the certificate. From here we could download it, or we could print it out, or we could click this button here to instantly send the certificate to the client's email address as a PDF email attachment. And as you can see underneath, there is a destruction log. As the system went through everything, it generated a log of everything it's destroyed. So as you can see, all the media that was uploaded by the client has been destroyed. The report media our employee uploaded has been destroyed. Brief sheet, briefing notes, and so on and so forth. So if we go back, and now if we view the audit trail again, you will notice it has kept all financial information, including expenses and invoices, who was employed and how much they were paid, and the destruction agreements, including a destruction log. But you will notice that all the subjects and all third-party data has been destroyed from the task. So that is the job complete. We've been through everything from start to finish. We generated reports, and our employee completed that. We then generated a final report, signed it off to the client. We got our data destruction agreement signed. We then went in and destroyed all the data, paid all the invoices, and we're happy that the job is now complete. So for our records, we just simply switch the status to completed. So that is the program flow from start to finish. If you've managed to sit through this video for an hour and 20 minutes without falling asleep, you should give yourself a pat on the back. You'll probably wonder why I showed you private investigation in this demo. The reason I showed private investigation is because of the complexity of working with a private investigation task. If you were doing event security on the system, or maybe close protection, the tools you get are slimmed right down. You might only use the shift rotor and the invoicing tools. If you're not dealing with third-party data, half of this, what I've shown, is irrelevant. But I just wanted to show the private investigation because it's the most in-depth administration on the system. Managing other sectors is a lot simpler. But no matter what you use it for in the security industry, the system is versatile and it can adapt and be used however you want it to be used. And you probably noticed, as we progressed through this video, we barely touched in depth on any of the features. We ran through maybe 1/10 of what the system is capable of, and features are being added on a daily basis. But if you want to know more about the other features in depth, please see our in-depth video series. But in the next video, I'm not going to explain everything. We're going to put the system into action and we're going to see how long it takes to administrate a job from start to finish. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.